is the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Show with John Impemba and James Grande.
What's going on, FA Nation? John Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook Preview Show. We're taking a look at the Thursday 3-game NBA DFS main slate for Game 3s here of the NBA playoffs for these teams. Competing up against the NFL draft. So, you know, the NBA not afraid. MLB avoided it altogether. They have all early games. NBA is like, nah. And NBA playoffs, head-to-head NFL draft. But nonetheless, Cleveland, Orlando, New York versus Philadelphia, Denver versus LA here, the 3 games on the slate, sir.
Yeah, 2 of the 3 have probably been the best series so far in Knicks, Philly, and Denver, LA. At least from I know 2 road teams finally won on Tuesday, but these have been the most compelling games, I think, with New York. Jalen Brunson hasn't made a shot in 2 games, and they're up 2-0. Have to feel good. Joel Embiid can't really make it up and down the floor, and yet they've been in position to win both games. And hard
to play against the refs, you know.
Hard to play against the refs. And then in the Denver series, obviously, Lakers should be up 2-0, and they fumbled away 2 games on the road. I mean, they could have, at least if you steal 1 in Denver, you're feeling better about yourselves. But alas, 2-0 both series in Cleveland, Orlando. Hasn't really been all that competitive thus far. Cleveland running away. But again, home teams have prevailed in most of these games, so we'll see what Orlando has serving home court here.
Yeah, 100%. Let's just start off. We'll go Cleveland, Orlando as the first game. This is one that, Cleveland has had little trouble with in this series, and they are now on the road, though. So we'll see if that swings any of the momentum to Orlando's way. Jalen Suggs will be active for this game for Orlando. We weren't sure. He got hurt, sprained knee in that last game. We didn't know how the status would heal over the days and all that stuff. So we'll start with Cleveland here, though. They've all been great. They've been carrying my underdog squad because I did a full Cleveland stack. Jared Allen has been unstoppable in this series. He's $7,400.
Probably where we should start.
I mean, that's why I said him first. I mean, like,
if and you saw what happened. They started Isaac, got straight up benched because this is the thing we mentioned on the last show, right? It's like they're going to start Jonathan Isaac, who's fine. He's a great defender. He's mismatched against Jared Allen in the paint, and Jared Allen has owned them defensively and on the glass. So, yeah, I think Jared Allen is the best per dollar play on Cleveland. 56 and 47 fantasy points, 2 monster double-doubles in back-to-back games, the steals, the blocks, the assists. Jared Allen's doing it all. Not far behind him is Donovan Mitchell, who looks all the way back offensively. 2 for 10 from 3. So be it. Still gave you 23, 42 fantasy points because the peripherals were great. He's right there. I would say the 9 for 22 is a product of Jalen Suggs being Jalen Suggs, because Suggs returned in that second half and again wreaked a lot of havoc like Jalen Suggs does. Mobley is fine at $7,000. I still think you find the 400 to get to Jared Allen, but you could definitely pivot to Mobley if you want.
Yeah.
Darius Garland, there's apparently an injury here with a back that he is kind of working his way through. He has not been listed on the injury report, but I do think that there is a reason why the rest of the starters are playing high 30s and he's playing low 30s minutes. And it's because they're like, well, these games haven't required us to extend Darius Garland. So if that's going to continue to be the case, 32 minutes probably can't get there, considering, this is a part of the year where Josh Hart's playing 48 minutes in a game. So you want to find those types of players. So Garland, I think Strus, 36 minutes, 37, 33 in the first 2 games. I think he's definitely fine. We saw LeVert with a little bounce back in terms of minutes, but he didn't really produce at all. 5,200 is probably still a stretch. The whole bench is kind of just a no from me. It's probably just Mitchell, Allen, Mobley.
Yeah.
Sprinkle in some Strus, and then you move on to Orlando.
Agreed. I mean, the guy's getting the minutes there, and Allen, as close to core play, I think, as it as it can be, I think, for 3 games, and that may reflect. But there are 7 centers that we're going to talk about as well on this slate. So going to Orlando, Franz Wagner's obviously been fine. Paolo's been fine. If you needed to play someone on this team, those would be them. Jalen Suggs at 5,300. He hurt himself. He still played 29 minutes in that game. So, he's still not on the injury report. So I assume he's good to go here.
Yeah, per dollar, I think Suggs is as good as anyone else. Just given what he does on the floor, hasn't even made threes in this series for a guy who took almost 400 threes this year. Shot 39%. I would put Jalen Suggs up there with anyone on Orlando in terms of, again, per dollar. Paolo had another 6 turnovers. That was tough. But the 40 minutes, just tough matchup. Franz has been pretty good, 40 and 31 fantasy points. He's been over 30 fantasy points in 4 straight games dating back to the regular season. 6,700 is a fine price. I guess my question is, what are we doing with Orlando big men? Because Mo Wagner was the best of the 3. And I kind of said he would be the only bench player I would use on Orlando.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can expect whatever. I mean, he did a little bit of everything. 12.6 rebounds, 6 fouls in 21 minutes. He is obviously the best priced of the 3. I think you and I both would firmly agree, and this is John Isaac propaganda aside, he has the highest ceiling of him, Wendell Carter, when he's given 26, 27, 29 minutes, right? How would you assess? Because even Wendell Carter chipped 18 minutes. I wouldn't hate Wendell Carter playing. I wouldn't shy away from Wendell Carter 18 minutes.
I mean, I don't even know if they'd start Isaac in this game. Right.
It's they might go back to the Wendell Carter. So if they go back to the Wendell Carter starting lineup, what do you say?
I think the thing is, you say I would lock in Wendell Carter.
Still might only play 18 minutes. He still might only play 18 minutes, and Isaac plays 24.
It's not even that. There is Jared Allen, Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, and Anthony Davis on this slate.
I know. Yeah.
So, Wendell Carter slots in as your utility or center because he's starting. They need the minutes out of him there. And even then, he's probably still in some level of rotation of 20 to 25 minutes.
Right.
And then you're eliminating one of the other 4 centers on the slate, right?
And at this point, you're probably not Nikola Jokic. just throwing it out there. You're not eliminating Jokic for that equation.
So, again, as much as Jared Allen for me is the best player in this series so far.
Yep.
He has center only eligibility. So if you play
Anthony Davis, by the way, to your point, only Davis had power forward for the last month. And thank you, DraftKings, for making that a little more difficult of a decision.
Because now you have to pick.
Yes.
Now nobody's playing Joel Embiid, not the jump matchups here, but I think we're kind of done talking Orlando. Going to Knicks and Philly. Again, Knicks are up 2-0. Should they be? I don't know. Philly's announcers were talking about how great the post-game show is going to be. And then all of a sudden, I don't know, did you see that clip? The Philly
I did not. No,
the Philly home announcers, when they were up 6 with 30 seconds ago, they're like, they needed to steal one on the road and they got one. Now they go back to Philly and it's basically home court. And, it's going to be a fun post-game coming up. Stay tuned. And then boom, DDV hits a 3. And then Maxey turns the ball over. And then boom, DDV hits a 3. And now they're down 1. And I'm like, oh my God. Go find the clip. Kind of brutal. It's kind of like the time they shot the streamers off against the Celtics, thinking that the game was over, and then they lost. So, anyways, Joel Embiid is 10-4. Nothing to take away from Joel Embiid. The man's been amazing. 59 and 52 fantasy points. But he's a clear 3 to me, I think, at minimum at the center position here, because I'm playing Jared Allen and I'm playing Nikola Jokic. So if you want to be different, you can play Joel Embiid, I think. Maxey's been great. The rest of that team, they have some value you can go to. Because like you said, this has been one of the more competitive series of any series so far.
Yep. I think if you're looking at anyone outside of Embiid, Maxey, First off, the Maxey flu game, he was incredible in this game.
Yeah.
Now named most improved player, 1 rebound shy of a triple double, big fourth quarter in that game. Doesn't come off the floor, and his price is now below 8K. That feels criminally low. So if you want to get to Tyrese Maxey, by all means. They're gonna boo Tobias Harris when he gets back to Philly because they don't like Tobias Harris, and every time I watch Philly at home, they boo Tobias Harris. So probably not gonna play him there. Honestly, I think the route you go now, there is a caveat here. De'Anthony Melton upgraded,
Right.
questionable. I like Kyle Lowry as a value. I liked him the other day. I thought it was as surefire as it could as a value. 4,400, 26 fantasy points. He's now gone 31 and 26 fantasy points in these first 2 games. If Melton is back, does that scare you off Lowry? I don't expect he would play much, but
I mean,
he's a primary. He returned end of the year and played like 16 minutes in a game and then 5 minutes in a game for De'Anthony Melton. So I don't know how many minutes he'd be able to play here, but if he were to play 16, that definitely cuts into Kyle Lowry a little bit. So I think we have to see the status of Melton before fully going all in on Kyle Lowry. But if Melton's ruled out and Lowry's 4,700, which he is, I'm going right back to that well for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Flipping over to the Knicks side here. Again, you mentioned Jalen Brunson hasn't really hit a shot yet. He's still coming through with over 40 fantasy points. He's going to hit a shot eventually, I think. I assume so. And when he does, these are going to be like 15 for 29. He's going to go for 70 fantasy points.
Yeah. They have done a really good job defending him. Starting with Lowry, once Batum comes in, they just put the size of Batum on him. Mm-hmm. And it's obviously, Nicholas Batum is 6'8". That's a lot bigger than 6'1" Jalen Brunson. So I do think we're going to get a Brunson game sooner rather than later. Knicks up 2-0 with Brunson 8 for 29, 8 for 26 is just absurd.
We talked after game 1, previewing game 2 about the Knicks rotation, and
we did. And we nailed it. Other than the Mitchell Robinson,
right?
Which apparently he's feeling injured because he's questionable in this game.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens there, but we weren't sure on DDV, right? DDV played 37 minutes. We're like, well, what if he doesn't get off to a slow start and Bojan doesn't just start knocking every shot down? Well, Bogdanovich played 12. McBride played 21 because he too got off to a poor shooting start, and Mitch Rob there only played the 18 minutes. Now you mentioned he's questionable, and they went back to the starters, and the starters played all of the minutes. DDV had a good game. Josh Hart had another double-double. They're winning these games, so I don't see a reason to why they would go back to the bench here, because this is another spot where they got off to down 7 after the first quarter. They were down going into halftime, and then they had a huge third quarter there to kind of help put them over the top for the lead. I think we just have to trust the starters here in this one.
Dude, honestly, center position, this has to be one of the deepest centers on a small slate. Hartenstein was amazing in game 2.
Yeah.
And he's 5,300. If there's no Mitchell Robinson, they've basically come out and said that he is limited, that he has faced a cap of minutes and they're not comfortable going over it. Well, he got 30. If you were to tell me Hartenstein were to get 30, maybe they extended him another 2-3 minutes. Dude, he's a really good fantasy point per minute guy. You're the Isaiah Hartenstein whisperer. So just another guy to add to the equation. I'm going to say this, and I don't know if this is bold or controversial. I think Josh Hart is a must play. Absolute must play.
We've said that for 3 months now.
Dude, he's not going to sit in this game. He had foul trouble in that first Philly game. He did not sit in game number 2.
Yeah.
I heard JJ Redick say this after game 1 that he wasn't going to make 4 threes again, and then he made 4 threes again. I don't think he's going to make 4 threes again, but I don't know if you've seen, Philly is leaving him open. They're doing the didn't someone do that to Jaylen Brown?
Yeah.
Someone was doing that to Jaylen Brown, right? Where they were sagging off Jaylen Brown, and he's like, dude, what are you doing?
After the All-Star break, teams were like, oh, he can't shoot. and they just let him. They just tested him, and he started knocking down all these threes after the All-Star break. And he's like, I don't know where they thought I couldn't shoot the shot, but I can. So okay, and
so Philly is sagging off Josh Hart right now.
Yeah,
and he's 4 for 7, 4 for 8. If that's going to be the Josh Hart that comes along with the other pieces of Josh Hart,
right.
you have to play him because he's going to be on the floor for every single second of this game.
Agreed. Listen, no arguments with us here with Josh Hart. We're definitely in on him. Anybody else for you in this one?
I mean, DiVincenzo obviously in tournaments. Hartenstein, I think, is an elite play.
You got 37 minutes out of OG. He didn't do anything.
Yeah, and then I said I would consider OG if I knew he was going to play those types of minutes at this price. I still feel the same way. He doesn't look right. Personally, he's just standing around a lot. I know he's doing a lot defensively, starting games on Maxey, covering Oubre, covering Harris. He's everywhere, switching onto Embiid.
Yeah.
It's a good price if he, 0 for 3. If he goes 3 for 3 from 3, then we're talking about a guy who goes for 27 fantasy points, pays off value. So
yeah,
probably like a secondary play for me.
Sure. All right, let's move over to Denver, LA here. Denver on the road for the first time in this series. We talked about the Joker. 75 and 63 fantasy points, 27, 20, and 10. Again, these games have been more competitive than I think we initially expected. They've both gone the way we thought they would in terms of how they finished here, but Lakers nearly won. They're pulling it off against the Denver in game 2. In game 1, they were winning that game for periods of time, and it obviously came down
at half.
Yeah, right. So, if we're gonna get competitiveness out of the Lakers here, then the Joker's going to play all of the minutes and he's going to have the ball all of the time, basically.
Yep. Dude, we're getting 40 minutes. He's automatic from the field. 27, 20, and 10. I heard someone said, when I read you the stat line, you're not sure what the 20 is. 27, 20, and 10. You're unsure if it's rebounds or assists.
Right.
Which just goes to show you what he is, right? As a basketball player, he is what he is, but he's the best player of the slate, bar none. If you want to get there, he should be $1,500 more in, right? They should probably be pricing him at $13,000 and then making you decide if you want to play or not.
I mean, don't you want to almost, again, we talked about this. I mean, you have Jokic under him. Jamal Murray hit the game winner in this one. Did not have the greatest of nights overall statistically. No. Matched his shooting percentage really from game 1. He was 9 of 24, but he was 4 of 9 from 3 in game 1. He had the 10 assists, so a lot of the numbers sort of match outside of the assist numbers, but he ends up hitting the game winner. He's $8,100 here. We talked some other guards on this slate. You like just stacking Denver the last time out. We had Porter and Gordon, I think, in the lineup. So do you still kind of feel the same way? 1 through 5, you can just play any Nugget?
I mean, yeah. If they're going to play the minutes that they're going to play, they all played 35 plus. Christian Brown is their 6th man, right?
Yeah.
12 minutes. Reggie Jackson, backup guard, right? 8 minutes. Peyton Watson, usually their first big man off the bench, 12 minutes. And they didn't play center. I thought they
said
weren't.
Yeah.
I figured they would eventually go to this Aaron Gordon backup 5 lineup. They couldn't in game 1 because of the foul trouble, but as long as Aaron Gordon stays at 40 minutes, right? It's you can play any Denver Nugget. I do think it's a little more challenging. Murray's now into the 8s. He was 76 and 78 on the first couple slates. Gordon's price hasn't moved. Porter's price hasn't moved. Michael Porter has been amazing against the Lakers the entire year. 5 games, 42 fantasy points per game. He has been amazing. The minutes have been great. The volume has been great. And a couple more rebounds bounce his way. We're talking about back-to-back double-doubles, and then you're talking about a guy who's we're getting – he's still too cheap, but, he's significantly too cheap.
You can probably bet on it that he'll get one of those at some point. So,
dude, and who's to say we're not getting, 13 to 15 shots? We've also seen Michael Porter at times upwards of 20 shot attempts when he's really
was it was the playoffs a couple of years ago where he was like I need to get the ball or something like that.
Yeah. Well, and Jokic said we need to get him the ball too. Jokic was yo, we need to get this dude
Yeah.
He's 6'10" and can shoot over anybody. Like, let's play him a little more. And I think Jokic understood the assignment. He understood the assignment.
He did. Plus, he wanted to pad the assist stats, so he needed more shooters.
True. Yeah. Classic. Yeah, he's pad stats. Right.
All right. Lakers side here. You got Anthony Davis. You have LeBron James. Obviously, don't need to go into detail what those guys are capable of. I guess the one note is that they're under 10K.
Yes.
Poor AD, the day they announced Defensive Player of the Year finalist, and he has that comment. He's like, I can guard all positions, and I can do this. I can do that. He gets the game winner shot just in his eye. Poor timing for Anthony Davis on that one. And then LeBron's complaining about the replay center, but still 26, 8 and 12, 2 and 2. Again, you're going to get this out of LeBron James. It's the playoffs. This is just what he does. You can play either of them. The question, I guess, next is do you like D'Angelo Russell? Do you like Austin Reeves? Prince, Hachimura? Do you trust any of the other Lakers here?
I mean, D'Lo was great for a half. He had 6 made threes at half.
Yep.
This happens, I feel like, to D'Angelo Russell a lot, where he has big first halves, and then it's just what happened, dude? I mean, Anthony Davis also was the best player on the floor in that game for 3 quarters, and then didn't score a point in the fourth, and we saw, like you mentioned. I would say D'Lo, probably. Reeves, 33 minutes, 19 fantasy points. Oof. That's not great. Hachimura, 7 shots, 11 shots in 2 games. I mean, Taurean Prince,
what is Hachimura's point of being out there at that point?
Right. Well, they're still. I mean, they did do a better job. They put AD. They were just like, all right, dude, we're gonna stop messing around with this crap. We're just gonna guard you with AD, right? To Jokic. There are no more of this Hachimura stuff. It's not stop this, right? It's just nonsense. But I agree. But isn't that the Lakers kind of build deficiency? What is their other option? Is it to go Dinwiddie or Vincent, and then they run that 3-guard lineup?
You got to try something, don't you?
I know, but the Nuggets are goddamn running Michael Porter 6'10" at small forward. What do you do in that case? So I'm not saying you're wrong. I just think not having Vanderbilt and Christian Wood were reportedly close to returning, and then both were ruled out. If you had Vanderbilt, that's probably the option, right? He was your starter last year that made the run.
Yeah.
So they don't have, I don't think, the roster flexibility. It's just going to be Hachimura for another 38, and then see what happens.
Sure.
But the answer, long-winded, half no, kind of D'Angelo Russell, a little bit. I would have a little interest at a 6,400 D'Angelo Russell.
Okay. Let's get a lineup build then. I'm assuming we're going Joker, Allen,
I mean,
Suggs, maybe.
Yeah, I until we know the status of D'Anthony Melton, I do think Kyle Lowry is probably still a very good value at 4,700. Because even with Melton back, we know Lowry's still going to start.
Yeah. Right.
There's not going to be a scenario where Anthony Melton's coming in and playing 30 minutes. That's just not.
We do this and we're already out of money. So
with Hart, yeah, I know.
You play McBride just because he's locked into 20 minutes.
Oh boy,
I guess. Gary Harris got another.
Yeah, 30. I know. He actually was really good. He was actually pretty highly rostered as well.
Such a bad floor.
I know. I think it would have been way more acceptable at $3,400.
Right.
You could play Mo Wagner.
Okay.
He's been good off the bench for them.
Yeah. I'm willing to give it a try here. That gives us 51 for a power forward.
Maybe play Mo Wagner at power forward for a little more roster flexibility.
Okay. Guard forward. What did I just do there? I did OG. There you go.
No.
All right, $5,100 a plague.
It is so bleak. We might have to come off of Hart.
Well, I mean, Strus and Batum, maybe.
It's not the 33 minutes were great.
Strus and Hachimura. who keeps playing all the minutes. He just like not doing anything. Maybe he gets it going at home.
Yeah, I mean, if that's fine, it's fine.
I mean,
it's fine.
They're at least on the floor, right? Like
they're on the floor. They're on the floor.
Is there a 48 guard that would be different? I mean, would you rather Hachimura or McBride? I guess it's too bad we're $100 off of getting KCP.
Yeah, I would say Hachimura just because he can stumble, fumble, bumble into fantasy points. Just because
okay,
we don't know. Like McBride is gonna play 20 minutes, right? It's just Again, if everyone else makes shots, he's not gonna play more than that.
Agreed. All right. Well, and there's an example lineup that we got going on here for this slate. Jalen Suggs, Kyle Lowry, Josh Hart, Mo Wagner, Nikola Jokic, Max Strus, Rui Hachimura, and Jared Allen. Again, 3 games here on the slate. Dylan Clemens will have your playbook out in the afternoon. You can get us in the Discord, of course, talking this DFS slate here. So if you have any questions, find us there. Follow us on Twitter. Good luck with your lineup builds, everybody. We'll talk to you then.